Welcome everybody to the new year, the new decade, a brand new town hall, number 74. We have an exciting A-team, as I like to call them. We've got a few A-teams here at platformOS. We've got the DevOps A-team, we've got the client A-team, and we've got our illustrious A-team with Diana, Kata, and Gyöngy, who have worked together for many years before coming on with platformOS. So we're very, very lucky to have them. A few more additions to the team coming along. 3 more people to introduce over the next couple of weeks on the back-end development side, as well as high-performance front-end things that we've got going on. Other things that have been happening over the Christmas New Year break was further work that the DevOps team have been working with to automate the deployment of instances to Google Cloud. So being truly multi-cloud, as we've been rabbiting on about for a few months now, it's looking great. In fact, we've now got the documentation site running on Google Cloud. We can just deploy it straight there as an instance. Search for documentation, vastly improved too. I'm not sure if we'll hear a little bit about that. I don't want to, yep. I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder right now, as I just have. So without further ado, let's hand over to Diana, Kata, and Gyöngy.
Hi everyone. On today's town hall, we have prepared an overview of last year's achievements and an outline of plans for this year. These plans are more like areas of focus that can of course change during the year based on user research and your feedback, but these are the main focus points we have identified so far for this year. First, I will talk about documentation, then Kata will tell you about UX and Gyöngy about design. So let's start with our documentation. First, I will tell you about the content and everything related to this topic. So new documentation topics we added, topics we are planning, new sections of our documentation site, articles, and functionality that helps you interact with the content. Then I will discuss workflow-related improvements that ensure great communication, precision, and efficiency when we are working together on our documentation. I talk a bit about the ways we can communicate, as the channels for these have been well established last year, and there's a good flow of communication between partners and the platformOS team members. I discuss the design of the documentation site, while Gyöngy will talk about the design of other sites and the sets later. In the end of my part of the presentation, I will talk about the award we won last year, but more than that, what we have learned from applying to awards and having been recognized by the ISTC. I thought I'd start with some statistics about content and add some background information to the numbers. We have more than 300 pages in our documentation and have added 65 new topics last year. This number only includes completely new topics, so updates are not included. And as you can see from the number of commits and lines of code changed, there has been a much larger number of updates than new topics. As we are doing docs as code, the number of lines added and deleted include both actual code and documentation content. 65 new topics means that we have added 1 or 2 new topics per week on average, which is very nice because this was exactly our goal. I always tell you that the production of new content will eventually slow down as more and more of the knowledge needed to work with platformOS will be covered. But last year, this slowdown has not yet happened, and there was a steady flow of new content that I hope you found helpful. As by now, thanks to the great communication we developed, most of these new topics have been requested by you or have been added by our team for new features or from their own experience as best practices to support your work with our platform. We had a total of 26 authors who come from our team or partners or external contributors. And we are happy to see that many of you contributed in many ways, even if not by directly editing content on our website, but providing feedback through the many different channels. We are very grateful for this collaboration and would like to thank you for being actively involved with our documentation. Sorry. I won't list all the new topics that we have added, but I thought I'd display some of the main categories here. We wrote about modules, models, DNS management, a much anticipated topic, file management, and also about best practices like testing, QA, or performance. We have also compiled a complete guide to liquid markup, including an introduction, types, tags, filters, whitespace control, and detailed descriptions of platform-specific filters and tags. All of them demonstrated with examples. Overall, last year we added more examples, updates, big and small, based on your feedback, and also had the capacity to fine-tune content for clarity, for example, by rephrasing a sentence that you told us was difficult to understand. This year, one of our main tasks is to improve the search functionality so that you can reliably find the content you are looking for. I actually reviewed the first iteration of our new search on our test site earlier today, and it looks very good. We are planning to add even more examples, and are also thinking about reorganizing our examples or including our example site in our documentation site, but we will need some more planning and discussions for that. We are planning to reorganize our menu structure and categories based on your feedback and user research. For a larger new category, we started planning documentation for our error codes. And another large topic that you know we are already working on and have had quite some progress, which is still behind the scenes but soon to be published iteratively, is onboarding. I will talk about onboarding from a documentation perspective, but Kata will also discuss this topic from a UX perspective. From a documentation perspective, there are three main components to our onboarding. The first one is on-screen instructions for the user journeys on the partner portal. The second one is a tutorial for beginners. This will be the hello world of platformOS. This will take you from setting up your development environment to creating a simple site, making a small change, and then deploying it. This will ensure that everything is set up and working, like the instance, the CLI, and so on. The third one is a larger chunk of documentation, a tutorial for building a to-do list app that explains all the basic concepts and the logic behind platformOS while taking you through the steps of creating this app. It will also include recommendations on workflow, testing, QA, and everything that we think could help a developer get started. The screenshot you see on the slide is from our staging site where we are preparing this content. Once the first iteration is done, we will publish it and are looking forward to getting your feedback on it. Let's also talk about some new sections we added and content other than documentation topics. We have added the best practices section that, based on the feedback you provided, it seems that you appreciated this very much. This section has now quite a good amount of content about QA and testing, performance, integrations, AMP, SEO, and we are continuously adding more. We added the use cases section where you can see actual implementations of platformOS solving different problems by our team members and our partners. We are working on some interesting use cases with some of you, so please look forward to seeing more of them this year. We added a community section where we collected all information relevant to someone who would like to join or is already a member of our community, like ways to get in touch with us, contributor guide, and our documentation style guide. We are planning to add a section about user research, where you will be able to see the results of past user research rounds and the latest research that you can sign up for. We sorted out policies and licenses. We added a deprecation policy and the license and attributions page. One of the achievements of last year, and something that you have been asking for, is that we are now regularly posting release notes to our documentation site. We post release notes weekly, and they include new features, improvements, and fixes. By now, they include links to related topics and examples for new features, and we are planning to improve them and consistently prepare topics for new features in advance and always post them and the examples in release notes where applicable. We always post release notes in our weekly status reports too. The role and format of our roadmap also became clearer. We now post a roadmap for each half of the year, and it includes planned features and improvements. Once we implement a feature or an enhancement, we check its checkbox and link to the respective release note for you to be able to learn more about it and find related examples and documentation topics. With this clear separation of release notes and the roadmap, you can now consider the release notes the past and the present, while the roadmap is the future. We have added many technical articles to our blog, like the 4-part series about testing and QA that described our QA process with challenges we faced and how we solved them, tips and tricks, best practices for speeding up development and troubleshooting, and a guide to performance testing. We also had a separate article on code quality and performance best practices, specifically for platformOS sites. All of the content from these articles is preserved in a different format as documentation topics on our documentation site. We published an article about a liquid guide on our blog and another article about Stripe identity verification. And we have published the final part of our series about building our documentation site on platformOS. That includes all the details about our implementation, such as how we implemented the docs as code approach, our remote REST API reference documentation, and we also included an in-depth exploration of how we have achieved the maximum of the Google PageSpeed Insight score with lots of useful tips and resources to improve the performance of your platformOS site. Other than our blog, the Communicator magazine has asked us to write an article about platformOS winning the UKTC award. This magazine is an award-winning journal for technical communicators distributed to the members of the ISTC and its magazine subscribers. In this article, we share some insights on building our developer documentation site, discussing topics like content, strategy, workflow, and community. For this year, we are working on some article ideas and have our eyes on some other well-known publications, so I hope you can soon encounter articles about platformOS in the magazines you'd like to read. Now let's discuss some workflow improvements that help us continuously improve our efficiency and our communication with you and each other. In February last year, we fully moved to GitHub, which means that now everything related to our documentation, code, content, editorial workflow, and task management is in one place. You can now see all tasks we are planning to work on, are working on, or have finished in our GitHub repo. Of course, besides providing greater transparency, this also makes it easier for you to contribute. If you would like to see a topic explained in our docs, just open a ticket and we will discuss it and move it to the board when we are ready to work on it. Keep an eye on issues you think you could contribute to, and feel free to join any issue you'd like to work on. We have also had some workflow improvements behind the scenes. The most impactful of them was how we improved task planning and the assigning of tickets. When we get internal or external feedback through Slack, the feedback block, user research, team members, engineering, and so on, all of these requests are considered tasks, regardless of where they came from. When we create a ticket for the task, we add a description that is as detailed as possible, assign a priority, add the type of the task. For example, is it a new topic or an update to an existing topic? And we also assign a project. Is it content related or is it development related? Now, this is where the new step has been added. Once the ticket is ready, it goes into the backlog of our internal sprint planning, where we discuss priorities every Monday with our CTO and our engineering team, and the selected tickets are added for the next sprint. The goal for now is still to have an average of 1 or 2 new topics or 3 or 4 updates for a sprint. Then, when a ticket is done, a developer and writer reviews the PR and we approve and merge it. As you know, we work with continuous integration and deployment. So once a PR has been merged, the new code or content goes through automated testing, and is deployed to our staging, then to our production site. Now that the different channels have been well established for our communication, I thought it would be interesting to discuss a little bit all of them. Related to feedback about the documentation, we are happy to say that you use all of the channels that are available to you, and we hope that all of you can find a way of communication that is convenient and fits into your process. We get a lot of feedback through Slack, but also through our feedback blog. Please keep them coming. All of these become tickets. You might even recognize requests coming through the feedback blog by their formats. We got some PRs through GitHub, and you also commented on issues. We have started our status reports with only documentation-related topics, but then added UX to it from April, and then moved status reports to our blog from May. Still, we always post the link in the Inner Circle Slack channel, and you can also subscribe to our status report newsletter, which includes the whole copy, so you can read it right away or forward it to your team members. We also share information with you through regular release notes and a roadmap that I already discussed in this presentation. And of course, we come to the town hall from time to time and give you updates on our documentation and other topics. Now let's see how our documentation site got its new design and what our plans are for the near future. In March, we started working on a complete redesign with CBO, and in June, we launched our new site design. Of course, we got some feedback on the design from you throughout the year, but also from the judges at the awards we applied to. Meanwhile, we have also started working on adapting our brand to the web and other platformOS sites. We have also ongoing user research that will end this month and that we will have the results for in February. So taking all of this feedback, we are planning to restructure the content and menus with Kata and then adjust the design with Gyöngy to add more color and make the design of our documentation site a better fit for our branding. I would like to close my part of the presentation with a great recognition we received last year for our work on the documentation side. As you have probably heard, we have won the UK Technical Communication Award and were praised for many aspects of our documentation, including our workflow, how we collaborate with our users, the clarity and structure of our content, and the information architecture of our site. This is a great achievement in itself, as it's a prestigious, peer-reviewed award. The fact that we won is a good indicator that we are on the right path. We are adapting the latest industry best practices and are using our experience in developer documentation successfully. We wrote an article about the UKTC award and had a town hall dedicated to this topic, where we shared our experience. So now I would like to focus on the many other benefits that being nominated for and winning this award has provided. First of all, having our documentation evaluated by the judges provided us with a thorough review from technical communication professionals with decades of experience. Every aspect of our site has been assessed by leading experts of technical writing, editing, developer documentation. And as they have provided detailed feedback, we can use that feedback to improve our documentation. And we will do this with design, content, organization, along with taking into consideration feedback from other sources like user research, your feedback from the many different channels you use. It also provided a great opportunity to network with other technical communicators and the leadership of the ISTC, who already asked us to write more for the different publications in the future. The award shows that, just like we intended, our documentation can be a best practice example for those of you who build documentation sites or your own product documentation on platformOS. And as it's open source and we are fully transparent about our process, you can reuse the code, content templates, and even our workflow for your own projects. I hope that all the work we did so far and our plans for this year show you how important it is to us that our documentation supports you the best way possible on your journey with platformOS. We appreciate you actively providing feedback and are grateful for this amazing collaboration with our community. And we are excited to work with you more on our documentation. Thank you very much. Now over to Kata and UX.
And as Kata steps in, a big thank you to Diana, of course, who has been our driving force behind the success and behind our ability to win this award. As it notes, it is a team effort, but without strong leadership, and that's Diana's leadership, let's be clear, in our documentation. That's been amazing. So what we've organised is to get a much larger mantelpiece installed at her home so that all of the awards can start to stack up over the years ahead. But thank you, Diana. Awesome stuff. And now we hand back to Kata.
Thank you. So in the summary, I'd like to focus on the most important tasks we accomplished in 2019 and speak a bit about our plans for this year, starting with the onboarding flow and then focusing on the documentation, core product, partner portal, and the marketing site related updates. So this year, our main focus was to redefine the onboarding experience of platformOS. We conducted research in order to develop knowledge about what motivates or discourages platformOS users. So our goal was to gather enough observation to be able to empathize with your perspectives. We combined all that we learned from the research, what helped you to understand platformOS and the related processes, what caused you problems or difficulties, basically. The study covered the core product, the documentation, and also the partner portal. So after the research, as a next step, we sketched out many different ideas, shared them with each other, and selected the best ones. As a result, we created 3 onboarding journey types based on the needs of the person. First one is the journey of non-technical users who will go through a one-click instance creation scenario and then install the blog module with one more click. Basically, this will result in them seeing a fully functional platformOS site with a layout, some basic design of a blog. The second journey of a user who are a bit more technical, but still doesn't require much coding. They can build a basic Hello World app by cloning platformOS codebase from our demo GitHub repository, and then they can use it as their own sandbox. And the third journey is something what we created for experienced developers. You already heard that from Diana. This is basically a detailed get started guide about a to-do application, how to build a to-do application. So as a next step, we created a working prototype of the onboarding flow so we can test it. We used the remote usability testing where participants interacted with these prototypes that were created with Figma. The journeys were validated in 3 iteration rounds. And as a next step, we applied the platformOS design to them. So the next step is, of course, we implement these journeys. The good news is that they are in progress and we will release them iteratively soon this year. Diana already told you a lot about the documentation site, so I'd only like to highlight some onboarding and research related tasks we focused on last year. As a result of the onboarding research, we created plans for a tryout page that can be a start for newcomers, for example, who firstly start on this page or start their onboarding journeys on this page. From this doc page, users can easily access the partner portal and create their first instance there. At the same time, we also restructure the onboarding documentation based on your feedback, where you will be able to find a full example of how to build an application, as we mentioned it before. So related to our onboarding discovery, we also focused on reorganizing the tutorials. Some of you also participated in this research. We used the card sorting exercise to identify the new structure. We have analyzed the results and concluded that 7 categories could cover our 27 topics. And now we are currently gathering feedback from you related to this new structure. You also provided feedback that you'd like to see the new items on the documentation side. To make it easier to keep up with the new released items, we introduced release notes, and you can also see the new items tagged in the sidebar navigation, as you can see it on the picture. And a bit about our plans for this year. So we are currently running a developer experience research in which we're gathering feedback related to the documentation side also. The result of this research will define further plans for this year. So if you like to participate, you still had a chance. I will show a link to that in our next slide. Besides this, we'd like to also measure the effect of the onboarding flows with also the guest starting guide, of course. Yeah. So related to the core product, we could focus on a lot of new features that came out in 2019. Now I'd only like to focus on items related to onboarding. So you provided us a general understanding where we need to enhance the system, and therefore first we focused on the naming conventions. With your input in the naming research, we identified which items are confusing for you and collected ideas about what renaming options would be good as a replacement. So the first and most important one is that we changed the marketplace kit to post CLI. Besides that, we made the instance welcome page more user-friendly, so you can start development faster, especially if you are new to platformOS. And here is the link what I promised to you. So we started the new year by running a developer experience research, as I mentioned, until the end of January, where we are focusing on how you are using platformOS, what tools and workflows do you prefer. The results of this research will help us identify some key UX directions for this year. So if you'd like to participate and share your thoughts, we're really happy to conduct a research also with you. We already conducted a few, and we received a lot of useful information from you already. Besides the introduced onboarding plans, we also focused on the partner portal renewal. For that, we revalidated the platformOS personas based on the platformOS brand story. We identified goals and objectives for the redesign of the partner portal and created a design brief for our new designer, Gyöngy, who will include it in this process in August. She has already started working on the design system, but yeah, of course, she will tell you more about this in a few minutes. Related to the new designs, we involve you in a preference test to see which design directions you would prefer for our partner portal. In this year, our plan is to ship often to iteratively improve the experience of the partner portal based on our new design system, starting with the onboarding experience and the navigation. So besides the onboarding experience, we also focused on specific features like the previously mentioned new navigation for the partner portal, also the module marketplace with the listing page, detail page, these page design can basically help us validate and iterate the design system elements. So we are playing with those, and also we will test these new designs by showing it to you. So we're really interested in your opinion. And meanwhile, we also started to work on the marketing side. We did a content research based on the platformOS brand story. It helped us define a sitemap and a content layout. So this year we are planning to create the designs in line with the other platformOS sites. And last but not least, I wanted to mention one new process. So after we introduced the design thinking process and UX workflow, we also wanted to use a design tool that supports our UX, UI, and front-end development processes. For that, we selected Figma. We found it great that we can follow the UX processes in one place from collaboration until reporting, then carry on to the design and development from the same tool. If you'd like to know more about this process, we spoke about it at the 67th town hall meeting. And now I'd like to hand over the place to Gyöngy to speak about design.
And thank you, Kata. Another fantastic presentation. Now, everything that is happening in platformOS is in large part because of this dynamic trio. So I'm really grateful for all the great UX stuff you provided. I know the partners are as well. All right, Gyöngy, very excited to have you take over now.
So last year, around the end of summer, I joined the platformOS team, and I jumped into the UI design related tasks. First, I worked on the partner portal only, but later we made some adjustments on the other platformOS sites as well, like the documentation site and the marketing site. Besides these, we started to extend our brand materials. We created marketing materials, document templates, some logo versions, and we put together an asset library that can be used by partners. The UI renewal of the partner portal was a well-prepared project with clear plans. As the team already worked on it, and Kata had a lot of valuable feedback from partners thanks to the user tests, with the questionnaires and the interviews. So I could jump into the UI design instantly. And we decided to create and use our own design system without using free resources, because this way the result reflects our brand properly. And the design system ensures that the design is not just brand consistent, but also consistent throughout the pages. Also notable that we can update or extend our design system anytime with new elements and components. And we can focus on the accessibility and usability and fine-tune the components according to these needs. As Kata mentioned, we use the Figma tool to create our design system. And this is how the UI design process of the partner portal looks like. We had first a preparation period, then we made the core elements. After that, we created the more complex components, and finally some page designs. Let me show you what these steps included. So during the preparation period, we made some brand adjustments. The brand was perfectly designed by Ying. Still, we had to add some elements, and we had to extend it a bit.
For example, we shifted the main brand color slightly to reach a higher contrast ratio, which meets the accessibility standards and improves the readability. And besides the original Gotham brand font, we added a new font family for the code samples. This is the Mallow font. And we also purchased an icon pack, the Streamline icons, which contains thousands of icons, and we use these as user interface icons. Still in the preparation phase, we subscribed to the Figma Pro plan, and that made it possible to create a shared theme library which contains reusable elements that can be used in all projects. This library is a collection of components like the core elements, graphics, icons, illustrations, and mockups. In the second phase, we created the core elements that are the basis of the whole brand and the other components. We defined here the colors, the typography, buttons, and the form element. In the third phase, we designed the complex components like the navigation, the top navigation, sidebar, tab bars, pagers, step-by-steps. We also made some notifications and messages, and we created date pickers, cards, and other components that you can see on this slide. And finally, as the fourth final step, we created whole page designs. We finished the UI design of the login and registration, the onboarding flow, and the different journeys that Kata already mentioned. And we made the marketplace design, which has a list and a grid view with the module cards. Of course, these designs are not final. We will iterate them based on the feedbacks and the user tests. As next steps in this year, we would like to further extend our component library with some tables, sortings, filters, and charts, graphs. And we will create designs for the other pages, of course. We will focus on the dashboard, the module pages, and the billing pages first, next to the other needs. Next to the partner portal, we had some adjustments on the other platformOS sites too. On the marketing side, we started to create covers for the status updates, and we plan to redesign the whole site this year. For this, last year we collected some UI inspirations, screenshots of sites or site parts, ideas that we like, and we put this together into mood boards. We will create the first design plans based on these ideas this year. And we will start with the UI of the homepage, and when it is done and the whole style is defined, we will apply the same look and feel consistently to the inner pages. We also had some minor UI adjustments on the documentation side. Here we also plan to fresh up the design a bit. We would like to add some colors and emphasize the interactive elements like the links, the clickable text, and the active menu item. And the last topic for today is the marketing materials that we created this year. We made a bunch of internal documents and templates, but besides those, we collected the public assets that can be used by all of you. So if you click on the first link, you can find the Google Drive folder with brand materials like the logo versions you can see on the right side. These are the powered by and the powered by platformOS and the certified partner logos. And you can find the platformOS brand fonts, graphics, templates, and brand guide as well in that folder. And the second link will lead to our assets in Figma. So if you use Figma, this might be handier for you. We will paste these links into the Zoom chat when we finish the presentation. Our plan is to create a brand site later, but which will contain all of the information and assets about the platformOS brand. But this is just a plan for the future. We will focus on this after the renewal of the platformOS marketing side. But until then, feel free to use the assets we have so far. Thanks for your attention. This was the summary of our last year and the plans for this year. We hope that we will have an exciting and successful year again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think everybody can give you all a round of applause. Honestly, without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today on the front end of things. Obviously, we have an incredible back end team and they continue to impress, but it's just been awesome to now bookend platformOS on the front end and the user experience. So fantastic work. Kata has just pasted up a link. We'll also post those links in the inner circle. New design, future dates, an angelic question from Martin. I was asking the same question myself. So when we hear the word this year, does that mean December? As we noted, we have already begun to build out and implement the onboarding process. I've seen it actually in QA. It's imminent. The documentation search, as alluded to by my earlier comments and by Diana, that's already working and we will have that imminently rolled out. The new platformOS marketing site, I think, look, I'm going to look at my watch rather than the calendar when it comes to that. No pressure on Gyöngy, of course, no, that will be soonish. Won't give you an exact time, but it's going to be an iterative approach. We're not going to have the whole of the new marketing site done. We'll have the initial landing page and the homepage done, and then we'll just continue to add content and updates to that as we've done in the past with documentation and partner portal. So that will be Q1, definitely, for a landing page. Is that right? Am I talking out of school? I saw a slight nod, so I'm going to say, yeah, it's going to happen soon. Clark is actually working with Gyöngy, Kata, and Diana on that side of things, so I won't steal his thunder on exact timing. He might have a comment at some point. So, Martin, that's on those items, and of course, then the ongoing enhancements overall with the partner portal will be rolling out immediately after that.
If I can inject based on Adam's comments, we definitely what Adam said about the homepage stuff is definitely coming through in Q1. I think the biggest thing I think a lot of you have voiced through the research that we've done is the search on documentation, and I know that is actually in staging at the moment. Maciek and I went through that, which is actually deployed on Google Cloud. And we've been testing that search functionality last night, of all things. So that's excellent. In regards to both our main website as well as the community site, we have now raised them as internal projects, just like we would do with anything else. In the past, that wasn't the case. And as you guys know, we get pulled in so many different directions. It got to the point where we're like, if we don't make this as an actual project and put together a project team and treat it like a client deliverable, it just won't get done. So we've reorganized that as per our Q1 strategy moving forward. And as a result, we really want to move that needle, get this site up and running, and then get the community site up and running so we can push on with that.
All right, well, I thought I'd do a cheat and just jump in there. It looks like we are still working on that Google one, but I did do a search earlier. Is that the right link? Am I using the right link?
Yes, I think the link is right, but what you were searching for is still in a ticket on GitHub.
Oh, okay. All right, that's probably why. I'll look for SEO. No, we're definitely doing some changes. This is an update that's happening. So we're rolling out that's why it's in QA. So we're making some changes to documentation. But you will see it. It's on Google Cloud. And as Clark mentioned, he and Maciek were playing around earlier. So that's imminent. Lots of exciting things, everybody. And we continue to focus on making sure that the Google page speed is always high. So we'll do a live quick check on that. This is on the live documentation site. 100 out of 100 for mobile and desktop. So that's a nice little picture to see. Of course, we will continue to improve upon that and make it 110%, which is the effort that we see from our team every day. All right, I'll stop sharing there. Any questions? No questions at this point. Thank you, everybody, for amazing feedback and helping us get where we are today. Thanks also to Dana, Kata, Gyöngy, who are staying up very late. It's almost 12 o'clock. It's almost midnight for them. They still look great. They're still pepped up. They're still full of energy. And we've got a question. Does your part of work with the Google team include extending the score? We can't divulge anything around that, Martin, but we are getting 100 out of 100 on AWS, which means if you deploy on Google Cloud, you'll probably get 101%. Yes. And is this the new time for Town Hall? It's 2 o'clock PST. So probably as time zones changed everywhere. So I don't think it's 9 a.m. AU, which is much better. Yeah, I think, Shane, when we have the shift on daylight savings and everybody's on the daylight savings or standard time, we are at 2 o'clock our time. So I would kind of keep it there. It's been moved from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Yeah, so a 2-hour gap. As you extend your day, we've pushed out extended an hour, we've lost an hour. So there would be a 2-hour extra gap there. We'll see how that works out when we switch back and try and make it better for you morning people. What else? Yeah, October was when it changed, I think, when we in San Francisco had a daylight savings shift. And any other questions? Congratulations, salutations. All right, well, I think this has been fantastic. It's always a highlight when we have this A-team on the presentation at the town hall. We won't bring them on every week because they're going to be just too hard an act to follow. And also they're going to be able to just continue on the incredible work that they're doing as a team. As I said, we've got new team members coming on board to help us accelerate a lot of things going on in the core product. All of the feedback that you've been involved with and with Kata and the Czech doing interviews, that's taken seriously, and we've got people to do the work. So thanks again for being part of the journey. We're ready to really launch and go big. This is our growth year, and you're all part of the founding team, founding partners. So as we shift our business model, you'll all be grandfathered in. So don't worry when you start to see costs for signing up as a partner. That won't be the case for you all. And we're going to be adding a lot of value with that. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks again, Diana, Kata, Gyöngy. Brilliant. So happy. I get goosebumps when I see your stuff. All right, everyone. We'll stop recording.